Avoidance style can heal? Yeah, of course. How hard is it? How long does it take? Is it really scary? Does it really work? What are the odds I can actually trust someone? Hey guys, I get this question a lot. What is the difference with fearful avoidance style and anxious attachment style? Because, quite frankly, fearful avoidance style gets a really bad rap from the other avoidance style. There's two, we gotta disconnect them because I'm tired of the bad rap people get. Let's do this and break it down. So to understand avoidant attachment style, you need to know that it is formed when people are used to being acted upon and they form a protective wall that pushes people back out. They don't believe that they are the problem. They believe nobody else on earth is going to act in good faith upon them. So they are used to have to keeping themselves safe and protected by keeping people out. That's avoidant attachment style. And there's different directions you can go with this. The bad one that people give a bad rap to is much more narcissistic style of pushing people's buttons and controlling them. You give them warmth and care and love, and then you switch around and you start manipulating and controlling. A carrot and the stick, hot and cold, warmth and not warmth, cold, in fact, very cold, and cutting. And that is very domineering. That's a very narcissistic style. If you've run on the bad end of gaslighting, if you've heard about gaslighting, if you've heard about people controlling, that's usually that narcissistic style of avoidant attachment. On the other end of the spectrum is the fearful avoidant. These people just want to be left alone. They usually are lonely. They've usually got a good job. They're connected with nobody, but they're kind of on their own. They might have family dinners once in a while. They might have a casual friend or two. They might have been in a dating relationship, one or two. Maybe they're in one now, but those dating relationships are just right about here. And they're fairly lonely people, but also fairly quiet people. And they keep everybody right about here, and nobody comes in super close. Because the fear is that if you let people in about what your needs are, who you are, what you are afraid of, what you want, all of those things, they'll get way too close, and then they'll try to take control of you, and you got to push them back. So a fearful avoidant person is not usually domineering, controlling, or mean unless you push on them and make them scared. Then they might take a bite to push you back out, to let you know this is about as far as it goes. If you're in a relationship with someone who has this fearful style, it's not, or if you're one yourself, it's not that they think they are the problem. They don't believe other people will act with good faith with them cooperatively. So they manage other people's moods and make people happy. And then when it doesn't work, they just kind of step back. They step out of the house for a while. They come back when things are calmed down. They just don't really know how to connect, and they don't really want to connect. This is tough when they have children because they love their children, but they don't know how to bond or connect with them. And it's tough when they have a partner who doesn't understand what's going on because it looks like indifference. It looks like a lack of love, and it sends all the wrong signals. Somebody with a fearful avoidant attachment style, they usually don't know that there's any better. They ask questions like, man, is this really all there is? Like, I've worked so hard for everything, but it's just kind of empty. It feels kind of mechanical. And you know, the problem is that they have a lack of oxytocin. Oxytocin in childhood especially sets you up to have good oxytocin in adulthood to expect it. When you have very low bonding in childhood, you're used to being acted upon. Then you have low oxytocin in adulthood, and you're used to being cold and distant from people. So oxytocin starts to feel weird. If they even get weird and connected to people, then it feels really weird and it feels uncomfortable. It feels like it could get hooked and they could become vulnerable. And that vulnerability is one of the scariest things in the world for them. So they stay back. They stay quiet. They stay disconnected. They just kind of... you stay right there. You're okay. You're okay right over there. You look great. Yep, right there. That's what they're trying to achieve. And they get fearful, but they do want more. I have a whole other video on this channel about why it feels scary to bond with people after you've had a difficult childhood. But the answer, in short, is because you haven't got used to oxytocin bonding, and now it makes you feel vulnerable and uncomfortable because you could start to like it too much. And you will, because oxytocin's great. It's one of the best drugs on earth. It's a hell of a drug. But when you don't get it much, it feels scary and confusing. So you need to go out and find one person. People with fearful avoidance style. If you're in a relationship, you need to learn, number one, that avoidant attachment even exists, that there's even another way to live. Now, I've got a book called Slaying Your Fear that walks through fixing these attachment pieces. People with avoidant style often read that book and they say, whoa, I never realized that there's other attachment styles. Like, really? People can just open up and connect and bond? That's kind of weird. Is that true? And then they'll kind of, think about it. And they read my book and it cracks their brain open. And then they'll usually DM me somewhere. Or they'll comment here on this platform. They'll DM me over on Instagram. I'm at Attachment Adam. They'll DM me on TikTok at Attachment Bro. And they say, you know, I read your book. Is it really true that avoidant style can heal? I'm like, yeah, of course. And then they hit me with these questions. Well, how hard is it? How long does it take? Is it really scary? Does it really work? Well, what are the odds that someone will actually connect with me? What are the odds I can actually trust someone? Like give me the risk factors. What actually happens? How does it happen? And they're so careful. So careful. I get that. So I'm going to, for people like this, because I'm so used to hearing this, I'm going to pin a comment below that's going to ask you, what are your questions? What are your questions about relationships? Drop that comment below. I'm going to pin it. Please reply and say what your question is. Because I'm so used to hearing this. People with a fearful avoidance style need somebody to walk them through it. I'd be happy to talk to you. I do this in my coaching all the time. People with fearful avoidance style come in very slowly. They schedule one session and then they talk to me and then they don't come back for a month or so. And they'll come back and say, well, I'm sorry I was gone for a while. I said, that's all right. I'm happy to have you back. Well, I have some more questions. Okay, let's hit them. And they hit me with more questions. And I say, okay, here's how you do that. Here's how you handle this. Here's a conversation you should have. Here's how you should connect with this person in your life. This person probably doesn't understand that you love them because you've backed off. So it feels like you don't love them. Really? And they're like, they're usually very smart people, but they don't understand. So then they go away for another month and then they come back and they say, okay, well, I tried a couple of those things and here's a couple of things that happened. Okay, let's talk through it. And month by month, I walk them through it until eventually they have a breakthrough. They're like, well, I opened up to someone and it felt kind of weird. Yes, it did feel weird. I believe you. It does. But here's what happened. And we talk about it. And it takes some time. People with fearful avoidance style, how do you say, maybe like a frightened cat who needs to understand they're not going to get hurt because they are so used to being acted upon. That's why they run away in the first place. So if you have someone in your life who has avoidant attachment style, or if you are someone with avoidant attachment style, understand that you can change. Understand that you can get the healing you need. My book, Slaying Your Fear, will walk you through. That's a great guide to start people with because it's 100 pages. It is non-threatening. You don't have to commit to anything. You don't have to talk to anybody. You grab my copy of Slaying Your Fear. It's available on Amazon. There's a link in my bio. There's everything all over the place. Slaying Your Fear by Adam Lane Smith. Pick up a copy. It's 100 pages. You go through it and you're going to go, I wonder if this is true. And then you're going to want to come back and drop me a comment. So please do. This is a process. You can work through it. You don't have to do it all today. And I'm not here to pressure you. That's the last thing you need. But read my book, Slaying Your Fear. That is a place to start that will get you where you need to go. It also teaches you how to manage your insecurities. It teaches you how to manage those fears, the worry cycle about what is this person going to do? What is this person going to do? How am I going to manage this fear? How am I going to manage this anxiety? What should I do here in this situation? It teaches you how to shut that down so you can go, I don't have to juggle other people. I can cooperate with one or two healthy people in my life and I don't got to juggle things and I don't have to worry what people think of me. And that ends that worry cycle. But it also opens the door then for some healthy bonding and connection. This is a process. Slaying Your Fear will get you there. Read that book. Come back and drop me that comment. And while you're here, really quick before you go, drop me your question down below in the linked thread because I want to hear what your question is. What is your question about relationships? Is it really blank? What's going to happen blank? Drop me your questions or come back and leave them. And make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can find me again so that you can come back and watch these. You're probably gonna have to watch a few videos before you really want to reach out to me. And that's okay. Let's build that connection. Let's talk, subscribe, come back, and let's do this.